how the Bible works. This is a thing that I'm working on. I don't have it finished yet, but we need to talk about how the Bible works and why we're going to need to exit Galatians and go into Ephesians. I'm going to ask you this question: what kind of book is the Bible? It's a question that I've been thinking about for a long time, right? And there's some words that come to mind. The Word, right? We got the Word. And then we got Scripture. But what about this other word? History, right? What about this other one? History. You know, the Bible holds historical documents. That's what it does. It has these documents that were written a very long time ago that are relevant today, but they are history, right? You can take these events that we're reading about in the Bible and place them on a timeline along with secular history because they are history. That's what we need to remember. And knowing that it's history, now we need to be Christian historians. Now, nobody told me this when I became a believer, that I was going to need to read the same book every single day. There's not another book that I wake up and say, hey, have I read my Bible enough? You know, I also like The Hobbit, right? I also like those books, but I don't wake up in the morning and say, hey, I haven't read my daily dose of Hobbit today. I haven't. But I will say, have I read a part of the Bible today? Or have I made it through another verse? Or have I studied something? Or have I learned something? That's different, right? But this is a history book. The history of the world, right? It's awesome to talk to a historian about history. And instead of saying, hey, you know, in the Bible, let me tell you something about the Bible. How about if you say this, you know, back in the Earth's history, there was this flood, and it was Noah's flood. And they'll say, well, that's from the Bible, so it's not history. And be like, well, no, we're talking about real history here. This is history. It's a real event. It actually happened. And you're thinking it's the Bible, but I'm thinking it's actually history, the history of the world. That's what this kind of book is. Let us move on. So the Galatians, they knew what the gospel of Christ is, right? Paul had already come to them. He told them about it. They know what it is, even if they've turned to another gospel that is not the real deal. But do we, right? Do we? Well, not at this point, right? We don't know about it because we've only made it a few verses in. However, they would know what Paul was like. You know, in other letters that Paul has, Paul talks about, remember what I was like when I was with you. Well, I'm sorry, Paul, I don't remember what you were like when you were with me because I wasn't with you. I don't know what you look like. I don't know what you smell like. I don't know what you like to eat. I don't know if we would go to the diner and have food together. I don't know what we would eat. Hopefully chicken, because I like chicken. But I don't know, right? I don't know. So let's find out. So there's some things that the Bible, doesn't really give us, right? It doesn't really give us, and there's some obstacles that we have to face. And one of those obstacles is time, right? There's a massive amount of time between us and them. We got to fill in that blank. We got culture. Man, I've got a lot of book smarts, but I don't know a lot about the culture but by books, right? I haven't really lived the culture. I don't know much about it. Man, do I want to go there and learn about it? Absolutely, 100%. But have I? No, I haven't. I don't know about the culture except for what I've read about. Then we have geography, right? When they say they go up, right? What are the mountains like? Are they snow-capped mountains? Are they hills? Are they valleys? I mean, what are these things and what do they look like? Those are things we have to fill in, right? Because our mind's going to automatically say, well, okay, so when they say mountain, they went to Mount Everest or they went to this mountain. No, they didn't, right? You got to look at the geography. And the last one, of course, the most important one that I feel is the language, right? The Bible was written in Greek, Hebrew, and Aramaic, and then translated into English and lots of other languages. And so what we're dealing with is a translation, right? Even if it's really good, that's not the issue. The issue is that anytime you take one thing and you move it into another thing, there's some things lost, right? There's some things lost in the translation. I had to say that. I'm sorry. I had to say that. Okay. But the other thing that's tied with language that people might not realize is culture, right? So you're taking culture, the culture of a place that has its own language, and they have their own language and their own way of thinking, and then you're placing that into our way of thinking with our language, and it's not going to come over exactly, Again, my name's Jay, and this is Verse by Verse. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a blessed week, and I'll see you in the next video.